Hi, class. I want to give you guys some insight into what's going on for the final. Hopefully, if you can watch this, it'll be like a cheat sheet. You'll be able to get a pretty good score on your final. Hopefully, by now you've got a couple. It has to be a couple. If you're going to do an individual, I can't grade it. The final must be between a couple, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend. It has to be an issue that's dealing relationally between two people, and it's going to be a romantic type relationship like boyfriend or husband and wife. That's the only relationship we're doing at this point in EFT. So when you found them, hopefully you've practiced a little bit with them, you've gotten to know them a bit. Maybe you did them with your midterm and you're going to use them again for your final. That's ideal, but at least make sure you've talked with them. They know that they've got to come to the conversation with kind of an argument or a fight or an issue they're dealing with. We're going to call that the Rocky moment. So when you start working with them, when you start meeting with them, you're already going to be going right into it. So you'll start the session by going, hey, what's been happening? Tell me what happened this week. What's gone on? Tell me a rocky moment, and get right into it. One of them will start out talking, let them talk. Then the other one will want to say something. You're going to be going back and forth. And the two main things you're going to do in the final, similar to what you did in the midterm, is you're going to find the TEMP of not one of them, but both of them. For the midterm, you just did it with one if you had a couple, or if you did an individual, you did that person's TEMP. For the final, you're doing the TEMP for both of them. Then you're going to organize what happens as the negative cycle hits them. And then the second main part of what you're going to do for the final is to take the interventions and to try to go a little deeper with one of them. So primarily, TEMP for both of them, organize the negative cycle that happens to both of them, and in the process, with one of them, you will go deeper into the emotion and you will heighten it, develop it, and in doing that, if you can use what we call an enactment with that one person, that's 5 extra credit points for the final. So let me try to break it down for you. Let's say you start and she jumps in and she starts telling about the fight. And you start listening to her. Because the session has to go 30 minutes at least. It really needs 30 minutes to 45 minutes to develop. But because you need 30 minutes at least, you're listening to her story no more than 4 or 5 minutes. Don't listen or let anyone talk for more than 4 or 5 minutes. So you're listening to her, and most likely in the first 4 or 5 minutes as you're going back and forth, you found her trigger and you began to identify the emotion. Now, the trigger might be something like he walks in and says something negative, or she tries to talk to him and he rolls his eyes. The trigger needs to be real specific and real identifiable. So you might say to her, oh, so when he came home and you asked him, did he do what he was supposed to do? He made that sound that he always makes, and that triggered you. That really started this emotional reaction on you. So I get your trigger, and now let me try to understand the emotion that's under the trigger. And now you're beginning to develop that emotion. You need to go to her body to ask her what her body was doing when she felt triggered. This is called going to the limbic system, which the part in our brain and in our nervous system that alerts us the body is going, something doesn't feel good, I'm being triggered. Where do you feel it in your body? What does it feel like? What does it make you want to do? So you're asking her these things. She's developing them. You're listening, and then you go, okay, so let me just get this straight. You got triggered, and this is what happened to your body, and this was the emotion. That was really good. Can I go to him? Can I go to your husband and check in with him to see what was happening? Because in stage 1, you want to do 50-50 time with each. You want to spend equal time with each. So in the 30 minutes, you will have spent 15 minutes with him, 15 minutes with her. So now she goes, yeah, okay, fine. You go to him and you go, wow, when you came in the house, did you have any idea what was waiting for you? He'll go, nope, didn't have a clue, didn't even know what was going on. All I did was I didn't do what she needed me to do. Blah. Oh, whoa, slow down, dude. Okay, you're doing good. But right now, what's triggering you? And he might say, she says the same thing every time she doesn't like what I do. She'll use the same phrase to put me down. You go, oh, wow. So when you felt put down, that triggered you. And he'll go, yeah. What happened in your body when you felt put down? I just felt bad. Well, what was that like? I just felt like, ugh. Okay. So your body just wanted to drop. You felt you were deflated. You felt like you were depersonalized. And he might agree, say different words, but you're going, wow, dude, that's great. So your body had a reaction. And then you probe a little bit more. Now you've gotten his trigger, his emotion. You've gotten her trigger, her emotion. Then you go to either of them, usually going back to the other. And you go, so when you felt that big emotion, and you know you've been there before, and you know it happens with him, and it doesn't happen with anybody else because he's your man, he's the guy that's important to you, what do you think that means in response to your attachment, in response to your relationship as a husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend? And she'll go, it means he's going to leave me. It means he's going to walk out. It means he doesn't care about me. It means, and she may go blah, 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 blah over and over. You go, wow, that is so big. So let me see if I can understand this meaning. When he does this, it means this. And then you might go to him and go, what does that mean to you when this happens? And you go to that emotion. What does it mean to you? Just like she said what it means to her, what does it mean to you? And he go, I think I'm a failure. I can't be a good husband. I never get it right. You go, wow, that's so big, guys. And so when you go there, what do you guys do to protect yourselves or to keep yourselves safe from feeling in danger? And you may go back to her and say, what happens to you? And she'll go, well, I say this, I try to say that, and I try to do this, and I try to say this. Nothing works. So finally, he just leaves me, and I shut down. I go away. Wow. So that's what you do to protect yourself. Then you go to him. He may go, as soon as I see what she does and I start to feel that, I shut down. Here it goes again. I'm not putting up with it, and I just go away. And then you go, wow, guys, so it looks like you both at one point just shut down. The cycle wins, and you go away. And then you go, that's beautiful, guys. Can I take a few moments and try to organize this for you? Now, this is where you may be speaking for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes just by yourself, and all you're doing is organizing exactly what you're seeing is happening. So you may say to her, so when you get triggered, then this happens and your body feels this and you go to that emotion. When that happens, it means your marriage is at the end. He doesn't care for you. You go off to this lonely, scary place after all your attempts to pursue and to try to get him to respond. It doesn't work and you go away to protect yourself. And that's really scary and it's lonely there. Is that right? And then you go to him. And so with you, when you get triggered and this emotion comes up, this is what it means, and this is what you do to protect yourself, and you're just kind of repeating the TEMP. Now, you've done both of their TEMPs. You've organized it just by telling them what it looks like, by describing the negative cycle, and that basically is the end of your final. Now, keep in mind that in the final, at some point, it may be with her, it may be with him, but at some point, mostly around the emotion, you're going to be developing one of them. All you have to do is go a little deeper with one of them into emotion. And the whole thing could take 2, 3, 4 minutes. And all you're doing is using the interventions that you've learned, like mirroring, reflecting, evocative questioning, going to the body to understand what it feels like. And you're just using those interventions to heighten to deepen, to let the emotion come up, and most likely it's going to be with her. Most likely the female is going to be the one that's going to show the easier emotion because they're more in tune to their emotion than guys are. So when she does that, if you see her chin quiver, if you hear her voice begin to change or her eyes begin to water, that's when you dial into that and you go deeper. And you don't have to go super deep, but you do need to heighten that and bring it up. So you've done the T, E, and P, you've done the O. At one point during the E, most likely with the T, E, and P, for her, you've gone deeper and you've used the interventions. That's the end of the final. At that point, you can just quit and say, thanks, we've done it. Let's counsel some more if you want, but thank you for being with me. Or you can end by saying something in more of a counseling terminology. Either way is fine. I just need to see you do the cycle, do the T, E, and P, organize it, and go deeper. Now, for some of you who want and feel like you're going deeper and want to do the enactment has to follow on the heels of the tango. So you will have done move 1 of the tango, which is to go deeper. Move 2 is to organize just that emotional experience. The organize in tango move 2 is not organizing in tempo. So you do move 1 of tango, move 2 of tango, move 3 then would look something like this. You're talking to her, you're going deeper, she's soft, she's vulnerable, and you say, this is so great that you can be here right now. I wonder, can you turn to him and tell him just what you told me, that when you get afraid that he's going away, you feel alone. Just can you try to tell him that? And if she can turn and tell him that, that's beautiful. You've done the enactment. Now the follow-up would be something like, well, how was that to tell him? And she can talk about it. Or you could go to him and say, how was that when she told you that from that vulnerable place? And let him talk about it. So keep in mind, you've done the T, E, and P, you've organized, you've gone deeper at some point with probably her. If you want to do the enactment and it's deep and it's vulnerable and she can share that, that would be a beautiful enactment. That's 5 points extra credit that I'm offering for those of you who feel like you can go there and you are there. But please, please, please don't risk really making a mistake in the whole session by trying to force or push that enactment, because it will not work well. Now, you can find all of this under the assignment for the final, for the critique. Make sure you write it up. The write-up needs to be at least 3 pages to fully describe what you're doing. Again, your video needs to be a minimum of 30 minutes. It can be as long as 45, but 20 minutes is just not going to have enough time to develop all this. You will not get a good grade if it's not fully developed at 30 minutes. And then when you write up the critique and the evaluation, you have all the things you're supposed to write out. Please put a heading so I know what you're doing under each of those. And yeah, that's it. Do the best you can. Make sure recording works. Make sure you know how to download it like you did before. And I have loved spending this time with you guys. I wish it was more of a classroom one-on-one, but it's been fun reading your discussion. All of you have grown a ton in this area. And I pray for those of you that want to go into counseling, that you'll realize the magic of working with EFT when you blend it with the gospel, because EFT is nothing without the gospel. But add the gospel and the understanding of this process of the map, the stages and steps of EFT, it can be a magical way to work with people. So I'm available. Text me, email me. If you have any questions, please do so. Have fun, and I'll hope to see you around Gateway at the Theological Field Experience Counseling cohort if we make it that far. God bless. Bye.